Kramer.
I was yeah, I was trying to find a positive angle on a thing for the Panthers. It's impossible. Can't even find a positive take on maybe a leading tackler prop.
Shout out to Cody Zeeb, fellow Patriots fan.
He's roasting you.
NASCAR Gambling Podcast saying, I know Negative Nancy was on for the Pats, but y'all couldn't find anything fucking hilarious being this high on the Panthers. 5 wins for Bryce Young. I mean, I don't even. It's funny that he thinks 5 wins is being high because.
Kind of is,
Ryan. Maybe it's just the fantasy content I listen to. That's and some of those like advanced people that are, or the advanced math nerds that are like, oh, this is the season, making the playoffs. I just don't. I don't see it. So maybe I'm letting some of their advanced analytics bleed in, and the idea that like they were historically bad last year, 2 wins. So. They're gonna bounce back a little bit. They'll have more wins than 2. I think is a fair bet.
Oh, now you got the virus.
No, but I think 5. I think 5 is the ceiling. So I feel super comfortable on the under 5.5 wins. Ryan, what are some of the other bets you like to make in this market?
Well, I 100% think you have. Give me Jordan. I mean, you highlighted it with your stat earlier, but Jordan Love and Bryce Young to both lead the league in interception at 20-1. Those will both be in my pocket.
The fact that
he's gonna be like, to your point, he was hyper conservative last year, and I do think he's going to have to be more aggressive. He threw 10 interceptions in, he had like 500 and some odd attempts, and so even if that number doesn't go up, he's definitely going to be throwing the ball into stuff more. They went out and got a couple of receivers that hopefully induce a couple more throws out of them. And so, yeah, I don't think the offense is going to be very good. And I don't think they have to bounce back. Bryce Young was horrible. Why do I think this guy, are you hearing the people talking about how he's a dog, how he's grinding, how there's no pictures of his car first in the building. No one's talking about how I haven't heard a single player talk about how Bryce Young is going to get him there. I mean, I've heard more stuff about Sam Darnold slinging it in practice. Sorry, but yeah, I think the interception prop has to be in the range.
Yeah, you've talked me into it
because they're also going to be losing so much. It's like an opportunity meets just. I think tiny little man.
Xavier Legette, Ryan. Is there anything offensive rookie of the year? No, right? I mean, again,
I didn't. All right, so. I think people are getting excited because he's a fun character, but I don't know if I was excited about him coming out of college. I don't know if I thought it was a great pick when the Panthers took it. It was like, oh, interesting. This is where they think they are as a team.
Yeah, I don't. To me, he didn't strike me as like a game-changing receiver. And again, mostly it's just I'm so down on Bryce Young at the quarterback position. It's hard to get excited about Xavier Legette.
Coach would be the positive.
I will say this. And I don't see any of his, over unders listed for yardage. But I do think Chuba Hubbard is going to have a much bigger role than the fantasy community would lead you on to believe. I think he's a guy you can fire on in like a best ball underdog draft super late because he's going to get a ton of volume early. Like I just don't think Jonathan Brooks is going to be the starting back. And then you look at the Panthers depth chart. It really is intriguing. Chuba Hubbard is listed as the starter. Miles Sanders is listed as the 3rd string with Jonathan Brooks 2nd string, and then Rashad Penny 4th. I mean, Miles Sanders, as much as I loved him in Philly, it does seem like he's a bit washed. I mean, I think they would probably cut him, but they owe him so much guaranteed money. He's just going to be on the roster. He didn't look very explosive. Last
Are we sure
year.
Jonathan Brooks is playing?
No, I don't. I'm not sure about that at all.
If they start 1-7, how much is Jonathan Brooks playing?
Well, and I think him starting on the PUP list, missing 6 weeks, and then at 6 weeks, if they're 1-5, are they really gonna turn him into like a bell cow back?
Why would you rush him
understand
back?
That. I mean, again, I don't understand drafting him. I would have gone with something that like you need to develop a franchise left tackle, something like that. But instead, and they did spend the pick on Ekwonu a couple years back. maybe he pans out. It's still a little early on him. Taylor Motton on the right tackle side, skeptical, but yeah, I think Chuba Hubbard is kind of, if there is a bright spot because of how down people are on him, I think there's maybe a little value, best ball, that kind of stuff. That's like the only optimism I can find here.
So Chuba Hubbard last year was only 88 yards behind Rashad White, who had the lead in the division in rushing yards.
Okay.
For him to lead the division in rushing yards this year is 14-1. I know it's not quite juicy enough. It certainly doesn't match his price in the best ball streets.
No, it's like one of those, if it was 30-1, I think I'd be firing.
Only 80 yards. Now, granted, Bijan probably going to get more run this year with the new management.
Bijan, I'm worried about. I still think Rashad White is in a decent situation.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't hate it, but I feel like you should be getting a little better of a price because maybe they do bring out Brooks. Man, it's just bleak for the Carolina Panthers. Oh, and shout out to Carl Restivo in the chat. If you have not tuned in to Carl's, checked out Carl's song, it is awesome. Love the song he created. Ryan, do we have that to play again? The hook has been, it's a real earworm.
Yeah, I got it.
The song that gets you back ready to celebrate football. You can get it on YouTube. We tweeted it out. The link is in the post as well for yesterday, or for the first team preview. Ryan, while you're getting that up, I'll give out my underdog play. This is easy. I mean, Bryce Young lower 18.5 passing touchdowns is spicy. It's spicy, Ryan. It's spicy.
But I mean, what did he have last year, Sean? He's probably pretty close.
No, he wasn't.
He had 11. I already knew that.
He had 11. He had 11 passing touchdowns. Where are these other passing touchdowns coming from?
I don't know.
And like, who, even if they get inside the 5, it's going to be handing off to Chuba Hubbard. Like, I don't see them throwing a ton inside the red zone.
I think, coming back to the interception price, they don't match. If you think the touchdowns are taking a huge step forward, I would also expect that the interceptions would, because there's probably more volume there as well.
Okay. Well, it can take a 7 touchdown. Oh
no, I'm with you. I don't think it happens, but I think he tries.
Yeah.
That's why the interceptions work. So is that an underdog?
Yeah, that's an underdog. But again, obviously like it in the regular prop market as well. But we're just talking fantasy projections. Ryan, where does, well,
I got another, I'll got another underdog.
Put it this way. You know who had more passing touchdowns than Bryce Young?
A lot of people.
Jake Browning, Joe Flacco, Josh Dobbs. I mean, these guys didn't play full season.
A lot of these guys didn't play.
Desmond Ridder, Aiden O'Connell. I mean, Mac Jones is nipping at his heels. He didn't play a full season. Kyler Murray played half a season. He still had 10.
It was a tough year for him last year, Sean. It can't possibly get worse.
I don't. It might get worse. What do you got for underdog?
Again, he has to get better. That's the part no one's talking about. Everything around him changed. It doesn't mean he's going to get better. Jadeveon Clowney, somehow they're offering 6.
Oh, I did see this.
I mean, how many versions of this season have Jadeveon Clowney finishing the season with in street clothes on the sideline? This seems like one of the easier plays we're ever going to make. When is he going to be in pure pass rush mode? He had 9.5. He had 9 or 9.5 last year, and a good defense there in Baltimore. A couple years ago, he had 9 or 9.5, playing opposite some really good pass rushers there in Cleveland. Who is he rushing with here in Carolina? This feels like I'm not an IDP guy, Sean, but we're gonna take the lower on this one. Lower on, and this is much like yours. This is available widely in the prop market too.
Yeah, and
do we really think he's going to play every game this year? For a what did I have him 4-13?
No, I mean he strikes me as a guy who doesn't love football. I think is fair, right?
Wow. I mean, I don't want to question his love of the game, but I don't know if he's going to love playing for this team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. The Bryce Young sprinkle. That's I honestly, the more that I talk this out, the more that I think this is going to be we'll have to make a cash investment at the Circle when we get out there.